Micah Parsons, gone, traded. The fans' hearts are ripped out. The locker room stunned. Is this the beginning of the end for the Dallas Cowboys? I don't know. Let's talk about it. Welcome to the Heartland Huddle podcast, Chiefs, Lions, and NFL Talk. I'm Eric. I'm your host. And guys, if you've been with us since the beginning, salute to you. You're a huddler now. You're a part of this podcast. You're a part of this movement. Make sure to like and subscribe. But if you're new to the huddle, if you're new to this podcast, make sure you guys are liking and subscribing. Check out our content every Wednesday here on our YouTube channel at Heartland NFL Talk. And, of course, on our Spotify channel at Heartland Huddle. But enough of that, guys. The big news, of course, this week, Dallas Athletics again down bad. After the Luka Doncic trade this past year, now we've got Micah Parsons and Jerry Jones. Let's get into it. Number one, I want to start out by saying I'm a fan of the trade. Now, I want to preface this before everybody gets in the comments, before everybody, of course, starts going in, before everybody starts talking about, oh, Micah Parsons is a first ballot Hall of Famer on that trajectory, on that Lawrence Taylor all-time great defensive pass rusher type trajectory. I want to preface this by saying Micah Parsons is a hell of a player. He's a generational talent, and he doesn't come around in every draft. But I'm going to take the unpopular take, and I'm going to talk about the fact that from a pure football standpoint, from a pure business standpoint, Jerry Jones wasn't wrong in this one. And Micah Parsons knows better than anybody now. The NFL is always, has been, and will be a business first. On the Dallas point of view, right, why do I think that it was a great trade? Well, number one, speaking of numbers, $42 million. The amount of cap space Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys have now after the Micah Parsons trade. $42 million in cap space that they can go after other free agents. They can fill other holes on their roster, and they can improve all around. On top of that, it's a poor man's version of the Tyreek Hill trade in 2022 that Brett Veach and the Kansas City Chiefs executed. It's not the exact same scenario. Honestly, it's closer to the Khalil Mack trade. But it's a poor man's version of Tyreek Hill. If you remember correctly, Tyreek Hill, he was on his rookie deal, got into a bit of trouble with his baby mama and things of that nature. We signed him to a cheap 3-year deal, and after that, the Kansas City Chiefs said, hey, you've been a hell of a player. You won a Super Bowl. You're on a Hall of Fame type trajectory for a wide receiver. However, we can't pay you what you want, Tyreek, and still expect to compete every year. Guys, why do I have this take that it was a good trade for Dallas and Green Bay? Well, it's a team sport, guys. There's 53 men on an active NFL roster at any one time. 11 guys on defense, 11 guys on offense that start, and 11 guys on special teams. This is not an individual sport. It's not tennis. It's not boxing. Hell, it's even not baseball in a team sport, to where when you're up to the plate, you're the only one that can really affect the game, right? This is a guy who, the stats are already all out there. Micah Parsons, of course, he's had no less than 12 and a half sacks each of his first 4 years in the NFL. Only other players to do that, Reggie White and a few others. He's a guy who has absolutely terrorized quarterbacks every year he's been in the league, starting with his rookie year. He's a 3-time All-Pro selection. He's been a finalist in the MVP voting. He's been in top 3 in the Defensive Player of the Year voting every year he's been in the league. I'm not arguing against his talent, and I'm not arguing against the fact that he is an all-time generational type player that the Cowboys and Jerry Jones just let go, just let walk, didn't just let walk, but traded for. What I am arguing for the fact of is the confines and the structure that is the business model of the NFL. Guys, it's a team sport. You have to build. When I first really started learning and realizing this type of stuff, it was the Le'Veon Bell stuff in Pittsburgh with Mike Tomlin. Look, guy, and that was before the running back position was really undervalued or devalued like it is now. Outside of your elite running back, Saquon Barkley, Jahmyr Gibbs is up there now, Bijan Robinson, guys like that. Outside of that, it's a devalued position. We can't pay you what we have to pay you and still continue to compete. We already have to pay quarterbacks insane amount of money. But on top of that, we've got to fill out a defense. We've got to be able to stop somebody. Conversely, if you're a defensive guy looking to reset the market, like your TJ Watts, Micah Parsons, things of that nature, we've got to be able to build an offense to be able to help you out. It's one thing if we have a hell of a defense, but if we can't put up points, what is it all for? So from a pure football perspective, I love the trade. I agree with it. It's a poor man's version of the Tyreek Hill trade. Chiefs fans will remember, let me remind you, in that Tyreek Hill trade, the Chiefs, what we got back, we were able to flip into Trent McDuffie, a 2-time first-team All-Pro, 3-time Pro Bowler, George Karlaftis, who just got signed to a brand near 4-year, almost market-setting contract and deal as a number 2 defensive end, Leo Chenal, who is strong as an ox, was a depth linebacker, and who was the one who was responsible for blocking field goals and saving our rears, during that Broncos win, last-second field goal block during the regular season last year, who has directly contributed to our Super Bowl success. Not to mention Jalen Watson, who has come on strong and has been a heck of a young cornerback and defensive back for us in the secondary. And then, of course, our hard-hitting safety and leader now, Brian Cook, on the back end of that defense, our safety. One of the all-time great NFL draft classes, all directly correlated and tied to Brett Veach getting rid of or trading Tyreek Hill for a bevy of picks. All the Kansas City Chiefs done since the trade of Tyreek Hill, has gone to 3 straight Super Bowls and won 2 of those. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, Eric, the Dallas Cowboys don't have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Travis Kelce and Chris Jones, and they aren't that close to competing for a Super Bowl, right? And I get it. I agree. However, on the offensive side of the ball, you do have a $60 million man in Dak Prescott. You do have George Pickens, who you bring over from Pittsburgh this offseason. And, of course, you have one of the top 3 wide receivers, in my opinion, in CeeDee Lamb on the other side of the ball. You can compete. They've got a young offensive line. They get back Kenny Clark, a big run-stopping defensive tackle in the trade, and 2 first-round picks. Look, guys, I know that has Jerry Jones done bad business in the past? Yes. Has he waited too long to get some contracts done that has cost him more money in the long run? Most notably, this past offseason, CeeDee Lamb, and the offseason before, and Dak Prescott, waiting till the wee hours of week 1 to get contracts done. Yes, I know these things. We all know these things. Dating back to the 1993 contract with 94 Emmitt Smith contract. We've seen the documentary by now. The Dallas Cowboys go 0-3. He finally pays Emmitt Smith, and then, of course, they go on to win another Super Bowl. I'm not disagreeing that Jerry Jones is pompous, narcissistic, egotistical, and a guy that loves all eyes and drama and talking heads on the Dallas Cowboys for his bottom line. I like Jerry Jones. I think he's a hell of an entertainer, marketer, and businessman. But yes, has he done bad business? Absolutely. But on the flip side of the coin, what I also know about Jerry Jones and his eldest son, Steven, they've put together some hell of teams. They've had a lot of great, talented teams in Dallas since the 90s, since 1995. Have they went to an NFC championship? No, they haven't. But have they been awfully close? Yes. Have they had the talent to do so? Yes. Poor execution and bad coaching has what cost them in the playoffs over the last 30 plus years. I'm not going to put that all on Jerry. 2 years in a row, 22 and 23, Dallas has opportunities against the San Francisco 49ers and the Green Bay Packers, and all Dak Prescott does is throw pick sixes. The defense get runs over. Does anybody remember the playoff run against the Los Angeles Rams where Cam Akers absolutely ran all over Leighton Vander Esch and Sean Lee in that game? The famous meme, the famous video of the linebacker coach at the time of the Cowboys yelling at Sean Lee and Leighton Vander Esch on the sideline. That's not Jerry's fault. All Jerry can do is draft, develop, and have guys execute in big moments. And over the past 30 plus years, they have not done that. That's not on Jerry. So I do know that Jerry's done bad business in contracts negotiations. Maybe he's tried to circumvent certain agents. There's been so much reporting on the relationship he's had with Micah, on the relationship he's had with Micah's agent, trying to circumvent that process and make sure that he's specifically talking to Micah versus his agent. Either way, the numbers are what the numbers are. And if you have Dak making $60 million, CD making $34, and then Micah looking to reset the market at $47, guys, quick math check, doesn't take a genius to realize that's well over a third of the total salary cap. You can't win with that. Paying 3 guys over a third of your cap? Come on now, guys. And I get it. I do. I love Micah Parsons. He is an absolute freight train on the defensive side of the ball. Now, here's the crux of the situation, and here's what really nobody's talking about. You have to pay you have to pay 2 or 3 of those guys, right? You can really afford 2 of the 3. Dak, CD, and Micah Parsons. I personally wouldn't have paid Dak. The 2 guys, young, cheaper, with more upside, would be Micah Parsons and CeeDee Lamb, Hall of Fame trajectories. However, the leverage Dak Prescott has had the past few contract negotiations have not only been the no trade clause, but just the simple fact that he plays the quarterback position. Is it worth paying Dak $60 million to avoid being in quarterback purgatory? Or do you pay him and you have a quarterback who's serviceable, who can throw for 4,500 yards and 45 touchdowns in a season, but maybe doesn't get you over the hump, maybe he does, and an elite number 1 wide receiver, and let Micah Parsons walk? Or do you, of course, pay CD, pay Micah Parsons, and let Dak walk in free agency? And no matter how good Micah Parsons is rushing the passer or getting after the quarterback, it doesn't matter because you don't have a quarterback on your own team. You see what I'm saying there? Really, the rub is that he should have paid, Jerry Jones that being, should have paid CD and Micah. But you can't do that when one of the positions you have to pay that's demanding a payday is the quarterback position. That's the real leverage here. That's the real rub. Hell, I don't know. Maybe you pay Dak and you pay Micah and you let CD go. Now you got George Pickens and who else on the offensive receiving corps? So that's really the conundrum that Jerry has been in, and I think he foresaw that. And I think it was one of those scenarios to where we can't bet on paying Micah and CD and letting Dak walk to hope that we find a Brock Purdy type of quarterback or player in a 5th, 6th, or 7th round that is serviceable. Now, back in 2016, the Cowboys themselves did do it. They found Dak out of Mississippi State in the 4th round. Tony Romo gets hurt in the preseason with the back, retires. Dak Prescott comes in, and the rest is history. But you can't bet on finding that in every draft. And to me, that's the real leverage of the situation that Dak had. So for those reasons, I like the trade. It's a team sport, guys. You have to have a team to win Super Bowls. Now, Jerry coming out this past week and saying, do they get better without Micah? I don't know. Remains to be seen. Kenny Clark, the defensive tackle they get back in the trade with Green Bay, I think he's a hell of a player. Last year wasn't his greatest, but he's had some good years. I think he's a 3-time Pro Bowler. Is he going to drastically help the run defense? Absolutely. And from a schematic X's and O's standpoint, yes, I agree with Jerry. What's the point of being able to run the passer when the opposing team's always running the ball because you're always behind in the first place? Rushing the passer hasn't been Dallas's weakness over the past 4 to 7 years. It's been stopping the run. As I had mentioned in that Rams game in the playoffs years ago, where Cam Akers ran all over the Dallas Cowboys defense and linebackers. When you can control the clock, run the ball, and keep the opposing offense off the field, you have a very good opportunity to win the ball game. And that's what teams have been able to do against the Cowboys, keeping Dak off the field, keeping CD off the field, keeping that potent offense off the field, so then they can just drain clock, run the ball, and be more physical. And in that case, you're really negating Micah Parsons. You're really taking him out of the game plan at that point. So for those pure football and business reasons, I like the trade. Now, to the flip side, 2 things can be true. It can be a good trade for the Cowboys, in my opinion, and it can also be a hell of a trade for the Green Bay Packers. Let's talk about them. Green Bay, a team with the storied tradition, Lambeau Field, the Lambeau Leap, one of my all-time favorite players, a Kansas State graduate and alum, Jordy Nelson, playing in Green Bay and winning a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. Hell of a place to play. Hell of a storied tradition. Vince Lombardi, and the rest of the crew, having had those Super Bowls, playing the Chiefs in the first Super Bowl. And historically, Gutekunst, the GM, the general manager of the Packers, hasn't swung for the fences like this in Green Bay. Smaller market, owned by the people, draft, develop, and pay their own guys, or trade them away for draft picks to continue to do the same system and process. Throw all that out the window. 2 first-round picks, a defensive tackle, and you sign Micah Parsons to a fat contract, $47 a year. Way to go, Micah Parsons. Way to go, Green Bay. Shattered the market. TJ Watt signs for 3 years. I believe it was $183 million. But not just the money Micah Parsons got, also the guaranteed money. Absolutely shattered the market. Right? I'd like to see what Aiden Hutchinson gets for the Detroit Lions here this next offseason, especially if he goes and has double-digit sacks and becomes the Defensive Player of the Year. Anyway, back to Green Bay. I like this trade. Now, as I had mentioned earlier, on the Cowboys end, it's a poor man's version of the Tyreek Hill Kansas City Chiefs trade. On the Green Bay end, it is almost an exact replica of the Khalil Mack from the Raiders to then the Oakland Raiders to the Chicago Bears trade. Albeit, Micah Parsons is 2 years younger than Khalil Mack was and is just entering in his prime. Khalil Mack was a 28-year-old defensive end who absolutely wrecked game plans, shattered the market. Chicago gives up 2 first-round picks, a second and a sixth, to the Oakland Raiders at the time. And then, of course, turn around and sign Khalil Mack to a market-setting contract extension. Now, the difference was, and where I think Chicago made the mistake, was that Chicago was not close to competing when they did that deal for Khalil Mack. And they found that out very quickly. The Green Bay Packers, one of the youngest, most opportunistic defensive last year. They were top 3 and leading the league in turnovers. Do I think it was a great defense? No. But I think they were opportunistic, a defense that'll regress more to the mean when it comes to takeovers this next year. But now you add in the monster that is Micah Parsons. When you're going against teams like Philadelphia, the Detroit Lions, the Washington Commanders, and possibly the Rams this year, you have to have a difference maker. Buffalo tried it with Von Miller a few years ago, couldn't get past the Chiefs. They signed Von Miller to a monster 6-year deal, albeit he was already past the age of 30, and they still haven't been able to solve the puzzle that is the Kansas City Chiefs since. Green Bay being frisky with the streaky Jordan Love at quarterback, Matthew Golden, they believe, is the true number one wide receiver they've lacked for years in Green Bay. Took him in round 1. Of course, you've got Josh Jacobs, an elite running back in the backfield and a good offensive line. They believe they can compete. They bring in the defensive coordinator, Jeff Hafley, last year, who does improve that young defense, who leads the league in turnovers and takeaways. And now you add Micah Parsons. All things point up for the Green Bay Packers. And if you're Green Bay, you do this move to win now. Now, let's reel it in. Let's reel it in. Do I think Green Bay wins the Super Bowl this year? No. Do I think Green Bay has an elite defense that resembles the 85 Bears, that they can't miss, that Micah Parsons is just wreaking havoc everywhere? Maybe. Probably not, though. But I do think they're a hell of a lot closer than what the Chicago Bears were years ago when they traded for Khalil Mack. And so for those reasons, I think it's a heck of a deal for Green Bay. But going back to the point about needing to get over the top, maybe they regress back to the mean when it comes to turnovers and takeaways on the defense. But what I do know in a tight game to where it's, 24-21, maybe 4.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and Philadelphia is driving on you. Jalen Hurts, he's throwing to A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. Saquon Barkley's ripping off run after run. And you're in real danger of letting them score and not having a chance to come back. That's on a 3rd and 9. Micah Parsons can come up, do what he does, rip through the tackle, get to Jalen Hurts or another quarterback, a Jared Goff, a Jaden Daniels, strip sack, fumble, Green Bay recovers. Now we're in position to kick a field goal or, of course, go down and score. Jordan Love leads them to a game-winning drive. That's the difference, guys. And in the NFL, where games are frequently won by 3 points or less, one-score games, Micah Parsons is a guy that can win you those games. Do I think he's good for 4 or 5 or 6 extra wins? No, nobody is. But do I think in crunch time to where he can get to that quarterback and wreak havoc? Yeah, that's good enough for 1, 2, or 3 wins. And so for those reasons, I'm really interested to see where this goes this year. Obviously, moving forward, they signed him to a 4-year deal with a lot of money guaranteed. I think it was $130 guaranteed, something to that effect. So good for Micah Parsons, good for the Green Bay Packers. Detroit and Philadelphia are still my favorites in the NFC. But overall, I think this was a really smart, good, great move for the Green Bay Packers. And back to Dallas. Jerry Jones, look, you're 82 years old. It's been 30-plus years. It's well documented. We've all seen your documentary. But I do think this was a smart move, and I do think Jerry has real football chops, along with his son, Steven, to really get this done. And I like where it went, and I like what it represents, and I like the fact that people still understand team building to win your ultimate goal in the NFL. And so for that, great trade on both sides. Thought I'd give my take on the Micah Parsons trade. I'm down here in Dallas, by the way. We're a Midwest podcast that's linking grassroots of Midwest down here all the way to Texas in the South. And trust me, I've got my finger on the local media podcast here in Dallas. And boy, it is for the lack of a better term, a dumpster fire when it comes to Dallas sports right now. So it's been fun. I like it. I'm excited for the season. I'm excited to watch Micah Parsons do his thing. I'm just glad he stayed in the NFC. Made a lot of sense for Buffalo to try to do this trade to get over the hump with Kansas City in the playoffs. But I'm extremely excited that he stayed in the NFC. We don't need those problems in Kansas City. We've already got a tough Joe Burrow and Lamar and Josh Allen and TJ Watt and enough of those guys. So stay in the NFC, Micah Parsons. Do your thing. Have a healthy, great year. But with that, guys, as always, make sure you like and subscribe if you like this content. I'll be giving my takes all year round here on the Heartland Huddle podcast, Chiefs, Lions, and NFL Talk. You can catch us every Wednesday on our YouTube channel here at Heartland NFL Talk. And then, of course, you can catch us on our Spotify channel at Heartland Huddle every Wednesday as well. Stay with us, guys. If you're still listening, you're a Huddler now, hit that subscribe button. Engage in the comments with us, and we'll be sure to reach back out. We'll have a bunch of fun stuff going on this season. With that, we are out. Go Chiefs. We're ready for the season. Good luck, everybody. We'll see you next time. Thank you.